thought I'd just add in some of the effects that I put on things, the processing effects, because it makes a huge difference in a track. Being able to balance, having really wet sound, but getting them all to cut through in the mix. It's something. I don't know whether you're ever happy with your mix downs. To be honest, I'm never happy with them, and I know people that make awesome tunes that I'd be happy with who aren't happy with them. So it's something that you're always battling against, to be honest, your mix downs. And I think you find they just get better with time, just the more you can hear things, and it's always best to pick the best possible samples that you can. So let's start on the leads. So what I've used for the leads, we've got a Xylinth or a Zenith or whatever you want to call it. I think it's called Xylinth, but I don't know. I've got two of them actually. So I've got two leads going on there. One's messgae, and one's follow. And I'll just fiddle with them a little bit. I've routed them to a group channel, which on the group channel I've got a reverb and delay on. I may have turned the ones down on the synth a little bit just to use these, because the reverb and delay in Xylinth sound a little bit cheap in my opinion. And then I've got a filter on them for the filtered parts. So if we go to this bit that's slightly filtered, let's turn it up a bit, so be able to see there the representation of that going up on the filter. Got a little dive there, dive things down before things kick in, just to get things feeling. Then into the other sort of riff. I've got two riffs there, it just makes things a little bit more interesting. So maybe try and have one lead that's a lot drier than another lead, and have that as your main noise that's cutting through the mix, and then have a more washy one sat behind it. I don't think I've actually done it on this track. That was a recent tip by someone. So that's the way I've been trying to do things at the moment. It certainly seems to work. Your leads sound quite clear but also wet enough, so layer them up with one drier one and then one wetter one that sits underneath it. Vocals as well, obviously they're quite heavily processed. Once again, I've put a delay and a reverb as a send. I prefer sends by miles than using them fully as an insert. I just find using the send level, you can just get a real precise, you can just get it to sound exactly how you want, whereas I found on inserts I struggle doing that. Once again, that may not be right, but it's just the way I do things. And then a limiter on it as well. I've recently got into using limiters. Don't know whether you should be using them on everything like I do. Well, not everything, but a lot of the things you want to stand out. I don't know whether you should be using compressors first, but I've been going for the limiter that's built into Cubase, just because it seems to make things sound nice, and if it sounds nice, it's a win-win situation. So that's the vocals. I won't turn the effects off. I'll turn the delay off because you may hear that. But so that's with it turned off, and turn it on. No, it just makes the vocals bounce. You can hear it carrying on there. It just gives everything a bit of life. Obviously EQing on the vocals 2000 Hz is always meant to give it a bit of presence, and I've done a bit on the top end as well and taken a bit off the bottom. EQing, I find it's different with everything, and there's certain guides that tell you which way to sort of maybe start, but fiddle around after that. Nothing's set in stone in this. It's just trying to make things sound as good as you can. Things like pikes and stuff, I'll always put more reverb on. I mean, this is at a Nexus, so it sounds very nice anyway. So it's got a very nice warm sound anyway, but I'll put a bit more reverb on it. It's all very subtle, this sort of thing, but it just gives it maybe that slight more shininess, that sort of professional sound. I really like the Cubase plugins, to be honest, the new 5 ones. I always group my basses together as well down here, so I've got 3 and I've got them all coming through group channel, and that just means you can control the volume of all the basses just on one. I do it on the leads as well. It's just easier for mixing down once you've got the sound you want. What else have we got? Oh, the pads. We didn't really go. There's not really many pads in this, to be honest. I've got a pad and a string. So let's just completely mute that. So that's just a high line, single line string. Very boring. But if you're using strings over or pads over your kick and bass drum, you can't have cut. Well, you can, but you have to be quite heavy with EQing and stuff to get them to sit in the mix. And then we've got some strings as well down here, the harder strings. So this is, you can have deeper stuff coming in, obviously, when you've got no kick and bass going. So this is in the break. And once again, I've just cut out a few bits and repeated them. Then bring it in here, a moving bass line. So on the group channel, the bass, I haven't actually got any effects on that, because obviously you want your bass to be as dry as dry. I think on slower tracks you do put reverb on them, but certainly in hardcore I don't think there's a space. And then a boost at 50 Hz, that could be too wide, to be honest. As in, I don't know whether it should be really thin or really wide. It's one thing I still don't know, so I sort of go in the middle. If anyone wants to reply and tell me, that'd be awesome. I think that's about it now. I'm bored of waffling on. Yeah, leads, then, you know, the effects in there, that, you know, that can, I always try and make the tune without the effects first, then obviously when you add them it's going to make it sound a lot better. Have an idea of what you want to go in, but if you can make the sound good without loads of whooshes and stuff, it seems when you add them, it just gives it that extra little bit of life. Same with reverb as well. Some people like messing around with the sort of finished sound, whereas I prefer getting a structure. For me, the structure is one of the main things. Like, this was actually a nightmare to do. So it's not like the original structure of the tune at all. I've repeated bits, gone back to certain bits just to get it to sit as an actual tune. So yeah, I'd say once you got your structure sorted, make things sound wet but still quite clear. You're there. It's just your mix downs. But if you need any tips or any help, just drop us a line, and I'll certainly get back to you. Cheers.